Cool. So good. Lots of excitement. So I'm so glad we have new people. So this is our free webinar. For those of you who are brand new to webinars, we offer free and premium webinars. Free ones, anyone can join. It's a screencast. Premium ones are a little bit extra. We provide a written guide, and we provide 9 times out of 10, we'll also have a free design for commercial use, which is really cool. So if you pay $10 or $15, but you also get a free design, you kind of already make your money back, which is pretty awesome. So today is a free webinar. However, after the webinar, I am going to in the place where your recording is. So if you go in your downloads, if you bought this on the website, if you go in your downloads, there's a document where you could have gotten the registration link to get to this webinar. If you go in there, I'm going to replace that link with a copy of all my notes. So what I'm going over today is about 4 pages of notes. I'm going to give that to you after the webinar. So that's kind of like what we would typically do for a premium one, but since this is a special webinar with cool software and giveaways, I figured I'll go ahead and give you some cool information as well. Now, just as a note, there are no pictures in it. It's all text, but you will have the recording to go through. Sherry, try exiting the webinar and joining it again. It might just be something with your device. Okay, so you guys ready to get started with the new software? So you can see right now I have it hidden. Right now you only see me. But let's go ahead and check this out. So let me go ahead and share my screen. You see it? So if you have the split screen with me, the bar in the middle, you can bring it over too, so you can go ahead and see my screen more. Karen, I will send us an email about that, and I'll have them email it to you. So cool, we're gonna go through the software and then do some giveaways. So I already have people writing in that they want to win stuff. But let's go ahead and go through here. So as you can see, Silhouette Studio looks a lot different, okay? There are things that are moved, things that are rearranged, and the cool thing is that you can, they have some features built in that kind of make designing faster for you. So as I go on, you guys feel free, I can see your questions coming in, so you can ask questions as I go. I try to answer them as quickly as I can, and feedback too. I would love to know what you guys think of the software as well. So this is brand new. Just a note, I'm going to say this now, I'll probably say it again later, just to emphasize, Silhouette Studio version 4.0 is in beta mode. What that means is that it's still not 100% stable. What they're doing now is they're releasing a test version out to all of whoever wants it now to find issues with the software, to check, you know, functionality, stuff like that. So if you are in a rush, let's say you have a big project to get done, I do not recommend using version 4.0 to get it done if you're on a time crunch, because it has bugs. It could cause a problem. For example, I have been on version 4.0 for a little bit because I am part of the closed beta program, and I went to cut with it a couple weeks ago and it just wouldn't cut. And so I had to uninstall version 4.0 and I had to reinstall 3.0, and I actually needed them done on a deadline. So I was actually late for a small group that I was doing. So like I said, do not use this if you are on a time crunch. You definitely want to make sure you are using this to kind of practice and get used to it. Okay? Cool. You ready for the run through? So what's going on here? There's a lot going on. Right now, for version 4.0, the cool thing is that they have this loading screen that's going to show up the first time you use it. So this is, I installed this earlier today. I had, for those of you who were in my webinar yesterday, you will know that I was running the old version of Silhouette. So I had to uninstall it today and reinstalled this version so we could see all of this. So the first time you open it, you're going to get these new feature, like to show you some stuff going on. So we have interactive tutorials, which I actually haven't seen them yet. They have floating panels, which we're going to see in just a little bit, and new software navigation, so that's up here. New send process, which is totally different, and then you'll have different theme options. And is this, hey, is this my first time using Silhouette Studio? No. So I had a good question. The question was asked, will 4.0 be available in Business Edition? Tasha, I don't know. I didn't tell them to use an anchor. They just know me. I guess they know it. So yes, that's a good question. So Silhouette Studio 4.0 is basically the base. So for those of you who are familiar with our software, the Wizard, you'll notice that upgrades have new numbers. Silhouette does it differently. What it is their base software is always available. So Silhouette Studio version something something, like 4.0, 3.0, whatever. Business Edition is additional features that go on top of that base software. So this is a new revamp of the base software, but all of your Business Edition features will continue to be there. So you will not have to pay again for Silhouette Studio unless they come out with like another upgraded version that has additional features. So for a very long time, they had Designer Edition. Last year, they came out with Designer Edition Plus and Business Edition. So you paid the difference between them if you have Designer Edition. But when it comes to Silhouette 1, 2, 3, 4, those are the base, so you don't have to pay for that. That is basically them revamping what you start with, if that makes sense. Okay, so the immediate differences you can see in this software. The color scheme. So you'll know for version 3.0, the software is very like bright, white colors with teals. This has a lot of gray space and it has white bars and panels. So you'll notice with 3.0, 3.0, the old version, they were light gray panels. Now we have these white ones. Now when you hover over buttons, like over here, I'm on the left side of my screen right now, it changes the color as you hover, okay? So this basically, if you're on the old version, it kind of just shows you stuff. Here, you're actually gonna get feedback by a different color when you hover over. So we have this teal color, okay? So, and then it also lets you change your theme colors in here. So let's say you don't like this color scheme. You can go to your preferences in the bottom right, and you can go over to display. You can change your theme over to gray. Hit apply. It's thinking. So you can see right here, up here it turns gray. Or you can change it to dark. Apply. Now we have all of this. Or you can go to white, which that's what I'm going to go back to. Okay? So for those of you, are any of you users of the Adobe products? Do any of you use that at all? Some of you I know use Corel. Okay, so yeah, we have several Adobe users. This is basically made to mimic some of the Adobe suite. So it's going to look a lot like that. It will look a little bit like Corel as well. If you change something, you can change the colors in your Corel. So it's very similar to both of those in that sense that you can customize it that way. Okay, so the big thing. Remember, there was a toolbar right up here in the top part of 3.0. They have since moved toolbars to the right side of the screen. So this is where you normally have your, like, you know, modify, subtract, all of that. Now it's over here on your toolbar. The reason being is that this bar here, you'll see later, will change based on what you have in your workspace. So basically, this is like this is what's always here, and then this is made to be more convenient in a way. So let's go over to this panel. So for those of you who are in a lot of my webinars, you'll notice that we go through this panel a lot, like when I do my introduction webinars. The function of your drawing panel has basically remained the same. The difference is that Silhouette version 4.0 has started to group a lot of things together. So you'll notice we have your pick tool here. Pretty simple. It's the normal tool you use to select things. Then you have your point edit tool. So this is all the same. These two are the same. Right here is where things get different. So this is the draw lines button. This is combining 4 different functions from 3.0, okay? So you remember from 3.0 you have your lines. So let's click here. Lines. Yeah, Cheryl, it's just like Corel. So we have our lines here. And then if you want to change, you can either hover over or hold down. So then you have your draw polygon, which is the same as before. So all these functions are the same. They're just making it combined when you go through there. This is your smooth polygon. So if you make your points, it'll go ahead and curve it. So if you are a Corel user, this is very similar to the B-spline tool. And then we have the arc tool. So you click, click, and then you go like this to make your arc, okay? So those 4 functions are now a part of one thing there, as opposed to having separate buttons in 3.0. And then let me show you point edit. It's the same thing. Click on there and you have your points. And then you have your select tool right here. So let's select all of these and delete. The cool thing too is that if you are familiar with shortcuts in Silhouette 3.0, all of those shortcuts have carried over. So if you want to do any of those are the same. Now we have our draw shape tool. Again, this is combining multiple features again. So you'll know in 3.0 you have your rectangle, your rounded rectangle, your circle or ellipse, and then you have like your polygon tool. Now they have combined all of these. So we're just gonna go ahead, click. Here's your square, rounded rectangle, here's your rounded corners, boop. Then you have your ellipse tool, here you go, and then you have your polygon tool. So you click, bring this out, and then you can select your sides. Okay? So all of these are the same. So what they've done is they've really just streamlined a lot of these things. So what I'm doing in this webinar is I'm going over the differences and placement and kind of functionality. Now, if you are brand new to Silhouette Studio, I would recommend going back. We have some videos on our YouTube channel or previous webinars on our website where I go in detail about each of these buttons. So if you are confused about the actual button function, definitely check that out as well because we do have information on that. All right, and then right under this, we have the draw tool. So this is basically the same. This is the draw freehand. Like draw it, and then you have your draw smooth freehand, which will try to find what you're doing and even it out. Whereas the draw freehand, it just does exactly what you write. Okay, so let's get rid of all of this. Cool. So we're making through here. It's pretty much the same, so you don't have to worry too much about that. All right, so we have the text button. Now we're going to type. And we'll do Lisa. So I clicked in there, and now you'll notice a couple things have changed in here. Do you see this? Now, what Silhouette has done, which is really cool, is that whatever you have selected in your workspace, it'll give you common functions for that, okay? So right here, I can go, take my name, click right here, choose a new font, choose a point size. Right here, I can go over and select a color. And then look, I click off of it, all that comes off, but now I can make all of these changes. So this is cool because it changes what you're doing. Now, we still have the text panel that'll show up on the other side that I'll go over later, but this is basically, the text tool is basically in the same spot. They've just made it a little bit easier to make edits to it. All right, and then the eraser tools underneath it, same functions. So you can see we erase, and then the functions that you have before, where you choose solid, outline, your size, they've all gone into that bar. So do you guys see what I'm talking about? You click on the text, you have your text options. If you click on the eraser, you have your eraser options. Like, does that make sense? Basically, what you are selecting, they give you the functions for. And you'll see later on, it also gives you shortcuts for things when you have multiple objects. So what Silhouette has done, which I really appreciate it, is they've tried to make your steps faster. They recognize that even if we are crafting, time still matters. So basically what they've done is they've improved the workflow. That's the phrase I was looking for. They've made the workflow better. So we have that. And then the knife tool is the same thing. You can see we have the knife there, and so we click this option. So you remember the knife tool, you have your solid, outline, and then straight. Now it's a drop down, you can choose what kind, so serrated. There's the knife tool. And so I did a knife tool on my name. So we have that there. So let me go back. Actually, I'll just delete it all. I don't need it. All right, so let's go to my next page. So select all. A lot of people don't use this button. Totally okay. Select all will select everything in there. In your normal software, if you are in Designer Edition, it was down at the bottom of your screen. If you're in Business Edition, it was at the top. Basically, this lets you, let me go ahead and draw a couple squares. So we have that. You can choose your select all, and it gets all of these there. So apparently, not apparently, previously it was down at the bottom. Now it's on the side there. Basically, so you can quickly jump over and say, I want to select it all. And then right here, this is our deselect. We have it all there. So then the last two things in this panel, we have select by color, which that, if you were in Business Edition, was up here. Designer Edition, you were down at the bottom, but that basically will just let you select things by what color they are. So to demonstrate that, I should change the color on some of these. So let's go ahead and make this one blue, make this one orange, and then I'll make these two another color. So the cool thing is, like you see when I have these options, I don't have to worry about clicking up in the top corner, waiting for my fill panel to load. I can easily choose something and change the color right there from the top bar. Can everyone else hear me? A couple people said they lost audio. Okay, we're good. Hopefully it comes back. I would instruct you on what to do if you lost audio, but you wouldn't hear it. All right, so we have our 4 different shapes here. Now right here we have our select by color. Pshoom! So check this out. And this is a great way to show you the panels. So right here, there are floaty panels over here. You can take your panel and move it, which is really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one. And now we have our select by color, okay? So we have our by line or fill, and then we can choose by color and select it like that. So I saw a question that came through on select all, does it select cut area or everything on page? It's everything in your workspace. So if you have something, and I'll show you something. So I'll make a copy and I'll bring this square all the way over here. And then we'll go back and view my workspace. So we'll just go over here. And if I do select all, see this big box? It grabbed that over there. Pretty cool, right? So it'll grab everything in the workspace. So that is the left side panel. Now the top panel right here, this top one, is the same as version 3.0. So you have your new document, open, save, print. This is a paste, undo, redo, and these are the zoom features. Zoom in, zoom out. You can zoom with your mouse. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose a space, do that. This one, you can click down. I'm bringing my mouse down to zoom in. Bringing my mouse up to zoom out. This one you can pan with your hand. To be honest, I never use this one. And then this one I use all the time, view your entire workspace. Pshoom, you have it there. So that's the same as there. And at least, yep, I am recording right now. And so you will be able to see this probably before I leave today. I try to get them uploaded pretty quickly. So we go ahead and we can do that. All right, so now we're ready to basically edit panels. So does all of that make sense to you? I mean, it's pretty easy. It's just combining things. Did you have any questions on any of that? Cool. I'm gonna get a little bit of coffee super fast. All right. Now, this is the part that is second most different. What's probably most different is sending things to your cutter in 4.0, but there's a couple things over here that are different as well. Now, for our edit panels, these are a lot of combining, just like before. So the biggest problem you're going to have when you switch over to 4.0 is just remembering where the button has been moved that you want. So for me, I like to use my scale tool a lot, which designates what size you want your shape to be. And I have, for the first week or two, I kept forgetting where it was. And it was very frustrating because I know exactly where something is in 3.0. I use it every day. So just as an encouragement to you, it will be fast, okay? There are things where you can keep the panels up in your workspace so it saves you time. But at first, I know it's going to be super frustrating. So please, give yourself a little bit of time. It'll be really, really great, okay? So the cool thing about the edit panels is now with this side, instead of opening up a panel that only stays if you have that button checked, you can have multiple panels up at a time. So you can see right here, this is our page panel. I can move it. So I can put it wherever I want. I can minimize it and keep it like this. So I can basically say, okay, well, I need to change the size of my workspace pretty often. Let me keep my page panels up. I'll just bring it down when I need it and hide it. Or what they're called flyouts, basically. Or dockers, we'll say. Okay, so all of this is the same. So our page size, so this is our, I think it's called like design page settings in 3.0. So we have over here, this is all the same. You can do the size of your workspace, not 87 inches. No. 8 inches. And then right now the tab's not working. So you can see I'm pressing tab and it's not working, so I have to go in here and do 9. And then click off of it. So you can see beta version. I'm gonna write down real quick on my notes that didn't work so I can tell Silhouette. Let me write this down, hold on. Tab on design page. And this is why I have beta and I'm showing you. Will the toolbars stay where you put them when you close the program and reopen it? No, you'll have to reset those, Ellie. All right, so we have all of these. Now, check this out. The grid options that you have seen before, these have tabs now. So you can tab within this panel. So right now we have the grids all over here by Karen. And this is the same. Show lines, show grids, crosshairs, which I don't like, square, isometric, spacing, all of that. And then we have our registration marks. So for those of you who do print and cut, it is now within your page panel. And this is all the same. You can go over here, choose your registration marks, do all of that, okay? And then right here, change is okay at times. What about the crashing? Roy, I haven't personally seen my software crash a whole lot. I also haven't been doing any complex designing right now. It's just getting used to the overall functionality. With any beta software, I would anticipate some crashes. Eventually, I think the last I heard was hopefully March, the secure version will be released for 4.0. So that'll mean most of the bugs will be worked out. Of course, you will have some bugs. You guys know, like we're always updating the software. So there'll be bugs, but it'll be better, okay? And so right here we have our page settings. So I have weed lines right here. Now this is a business edition feature. So if you're in designer edition, you won't have this right here. Can the registration marks be used for regular designs also? Yes and no. Registration marks, you're gonna need that to be printed on there. So if you're not actually printing it on, it won't really cut it because it's going to look, when you load your software, it's gonna look for those printed registration marks. Is there a way to show the name of each of the side buttons under the button instead of having to hover over it to see what it is? I don't know. I don't think so. General. I think one of the big changes, and it's good and bad, is that the software has kind of gotten rid of a lot of the names. They are trying to be all visual. So I think probably for international users, you don't have to do so much translating. It's all the same. But yeah, that's one of the drawbacks, is that there aren't a whole lot of names. And you'll see when I continue on through the panels that they won't be there, okay? So there's our page options. And so we have our pick scan, which it's taking, there it is. So here's our pick scan. So check this out. When you have multiple panels, you can go over here and dock them together. So I can go over here, hide all of it, show all of it, and then I can hide one or the other, okay? So you can go ahead and say, like, let's say you're gonna use your modify panel and your offsets a lot, which is I do a lot. I can keep these here and kind of float them out when I need them. Now, when you have multiple panels, you'll notice that there are like multiple X's here, okay? So you have a smaller one and a larger one. I'll bring it in the middle of my screen. Do you see that? So this is, smaller one's gonna close that panel, and then the larger one's gonna close everything. So let me go ahead and open PickScan again. There we go. And see this big square? Now this big square is gonna get rid of both panels. It's basically saying, like, don't give me any of those dockers. I don't want any of them. So we can click on that and they're gone. Okay, so that's what we would do there. And so the rest of it's pretty much the same. We'll go over here. We have our fill options. So this, again, has combined. So you'll know that in 3.0, you have fill color, fill gradient, and fill pattern. So what we did, I didn't do it. What Silhouette did is they went ahead and put them all in one. So what they're doing is they're basically grouping them by what you're trying to do. And then they go ahead and be more specific. So it's like, here is the fill that I want, And then this is the type of fill. Where's the TRW Docker? The wizard does not work in Silhouette. So this is Silhouette Studio version 4.0. So I always like to joke around that Silhouette wanted to take a cue from us and release a 4.0 as soon as we release our 4.0. So this is our Silhouette Studio. The cool thing is that there is a rhinestone feature that we'll see later, but definitely if you want to get more advanced designing, the wizard is something to consider. Okay, so now underneath fill, so we have fill, and then we have our line style. So this is pretty much the same. So this is if you want to make changes. So you have your line style and thickness here, which most of the time if you're working with vinyl, you don't need that. What you would need is the line color. And that sometimes is necessary. Like if you're doing a specific color design, the red outline can be a little distracting. So sometimes I'll change my line color to white because I feel like it can define it more. Now, one thing to note is that you can change the line color up here in this bar, okay? So this square, if I want my line color to be blue, I can quickly go to this bar and change it over here now. You see that? So basically, like, you can do all of it through the panel, but the cool thing about the new version of Silhouette Studio is that they've tried to streamline it. So they'll be like, okay, you've selected this object. Well, pretty commonly when you have an object selected, you're going to resize it or change the color or change the line color. So let's put this in the top bar to make it easier on you. So that's kind of what it is. All right, trace. It's a little bit different. So let's go over here and let me open an image. Let me pull it over here. Oh, wait. So we have this little puppy, okay? Cute. So check it out. It opened up a page panel because I brought something in here, so I'm just gonna close that. So here's our trace panel. And Cheryl, nope, can't export into Corel yet. I don't expect Silhouette to ever let you export out, to be honest with you. All right, so we have select trace area. So check this out. They've kind of renamed a bunch of stuff. All right, so you have your threshold, which is the power of your trace. So you can see it's going to pick up more. Now check it out. See how it doesn't turn your whole shape yellow now? It basically kind of does it by lines now, which was a very confusing thing for 3.0 users, is that they would see the lines and be like, why did this trace? When this is actually what it's doing now. It's doing the lines. And despeckle, I think, is like a scale. I'm pretty sure it's like the equivalent of scale on there. This would be more useful for tracing of photos than something like this. And then you have your high pass filter, which is by default off now. High pass filter you don't need very often. So 9 times out of 10 you turn it off when you trace. And then you have your low pass filter, which is going to work from the outside in. And then you have your trace outer edge and detach, just like before. So we go to trace. And now you can see it's not, obviously, it's not perfect, but, you know, this is one trace. And so we already got a little bit more detail than I think we would have gotten in normal Silhouette. Well, not normal Silhouette. So let's do trace by color. Check this out. So trace by color. And then let's say I want to trace by this one. Let's change the color tolerance. So check that out. I can get this little spot. So like, let's say I want just the eyes here. Trace all areas with the same color. There are the ears. Check that out. So now I have just that little part. Yep, Joseph. I have many opinions about Cricut Design Space. One of them is that it's not as good as Silhouette Studio. Now, I have heard that Cricut Design Space is also in beta, and they have a new version coming out, but honestly, I'll believe it when I see it. And then we also have Magnet Trace, which I haven't used too much, so I can't, like, for sure tell you if it's good or not. Oh, yeah, this is it. So Magnet Trace is almost like B-spline tool. So I'm going to go around, and it kind of, like, tries to find, so I'm lifting my mouse, but tries to find the outside edge, kind of. Then we have it here. And so we have this. So it's like not super great. I wouldn't use Magnet Trace. It's kind of like this new thing that I haven't done too much research on, but Maybe I'll have a video up soon to talk about how cool it is. But yeah, the trace by color is probably going to be the coolest part of it, is that you can go ahead and select in here, you know, your certain color, and then turn your tolerance up and get, you know, just that part. So for those of you who are familiar with like the 3.0, you'll notice that sometimes you have to do this. Oops. Sometimes you have to do this and then break it apart, release a compound path, all of that. So this is definitely something that's cool that I'm excited to learn more about and kind of show you, you know, more advanced stuff. But this is kind of showing you some of the changes. So I'm not going to go too in depth in that. So right here we have our shader effects window. So this is previously like a bunch of stuff. This is image effects basically. And so what this does is it controls stuff with photos. So you're not going to use this very often unless you are doing, unless you're doing print and cut. So let me open up something for you. Now this would be something like editing this photo. So let's get this page out of here. And then you can gray shade, select it first. Gray shade, you know, you can take some of the color out. You can do hue. So why would you use this? I don't know. Well, actually, you would want to use it to set up for tracing. So I would turn this black and white, and then I would turn my contrast. There you go. Contrast is over here. Turn my contrast up. Oh, you know why that happened? I didn't apply it. So let's go gray shade, apply, contrast, apply. And so now you could do that for a trace. Now this is good for print and cut, things that you actually need color in. So that's basically if you guys are scrapbookers or you make stickers a lot, that's great. Now if you're doing rhinestone and vinyl, you don't need this. So let's get this out of here. And check it out. You know in Silhouette 3.0, you have your different documents in the bottom. They've moved the tabs up to the top. So this is actually like almost exactly the same as you would see in Adobe and Corel. So if you're familiar with some of the more advanced design softwares, it definitely will be more intuitive for you to work with that. And also, yeah, I think it's a lot easier to be at the top of the page. So I'm glad that some of these changes were made. So let me get this out of here. Let's close that. No, I don't want to make changes. Cool. So let's move on. So we are at image effects, which is right here. Now we have our text style. So, oops, I closed both of them. So this is all the same. This is basically the text panel that you are used to. You know, Lisa, go over here, change my font, change my character spacing, all of that. Everything that you're used to. And they also added spell check. So you can go over here and you have spell check right there. Kendra, I believe image effect is in all versions of the software. I believe that is there. What's going to be different in Designer Edition and up are going to be some of the modify options that we get to later. Cool. So we're halfway through this panel, but I think I'm going to do a giveaway now. Do you guys want to do a giveaway right now? What do you think? Okay. So, pick me. I think, Nick, are you in here? I think I might have to make Nick so he can see something, so he can see you guys too. When you use a cursive style text, are the letters attached in design space? They are not, and you need to move the letters and weld them. Yes, you do need a weld. So that'll be something in Modify that I can show you in a little bit. Okay, Nick didn't answer, so I don't think he's paying attention. Okay. And then also, Roy asked, any fees involved on upgrade besides buying the first time? No. It's a one-time purchase. If they release better features in the basic Silhouette Studio, like we are for version 4.0, it's free. Now, if they come out with, like, you know, Designer Business Pro Edition Plus, go. All right. Let's move on. So I just showed you text style. So let's get rid of this one. And now we have our transform panel, okay? Which is really cool. So the transform panel is probably, I would say, the biggest update to the edit panels in Silhouette Studio. This has combined like maybe 4 different things, but these are things that you use often, okay? So they consolidated a lot of stuff. So there's different options in here. You have your align, which you guys are familiar with. So let's go ahead and grab this square and this square. And you know, we want to align these. So we can align it horizontally go back, on the center, go back, and so on and so forth. You guys get the idea. Now check this out. Have you guys noticed anything different about the software yet? Joe, I know I should have come to... You can tell Matt. Like when you see Matt and them at different shows, you should say, where's Lisa? Because I keep trying to go to these other shows. And they say, no. So ask them. Okay, so check this out. Now this is really, really cool. So when you have multiple items selected in Silhouette Studio, or you have an object selected, these options will show up for you. So not only can you align them with the transform panel that you have here, but you can go over here and do your alignment from the top here. So if you know that you're going to take these two objects and you want them to be centered, you can quickly select both of these and just put them like, oh, this one, right in the center of each other. Do you see that? So that's one button that looks different in the new Silhouette software, is that if you want two items to be centered on each other, it's this little crosshairs. So you see that? So very quick. It definitely streamlines a lot of stuff there. And then when you have multiple options, you also have panels like basically select all. Oh no, I just welded it, sorry. This is weld. Oh, group. So we have it that way. And then you have your bring to front, bring to back, and then your weld option will be up here, offset, and then this is duplicate. So we're able to do that. Are we able to upgrade through us? You can buy Business Edition through us. The new version of Silhouette Studio will go through the Silhouette America website. So we have our spacing, and then again, your spacing was at the bottom of your align panel, so it's still kind of in the same area. So I'm going to hold down Alt and make a bunch of copies. And then I can go select all of these, do vertical spacing, and it'll space out in between the top one and the bottom one. It spaces them evenly. All right, so we have that. Now we have our scale. So the second option in the transform panel is the scale panel. This is something that I use pretty often. You can scale it by percentages, and then you also can specify. So I want this square to be like 3 inches wide. I'm going to lock it. See this little? I'm going to lock ratio so that keeps it proportionate, and I'm going to make it 3 inches wide. And then click in here because tab doesn't work yet, and then apply. So you see that? So that's our scale. And then our rotate panel, which is, rotate was in 3.0 as well, so they moved it in here. You have your move by, which I don't really use much. And then you have your shear, which again, I don't use too much, but it's in there, it's over there. Cool, so let's move on. Now we have our replicate. Now this is the same replicate as before. You have your make to top bottom, rows and columns, you have your mirror, and then you have your rotate. Then over here you have a number of copies. So I can say I want to make 6 copies of this, and I want to do them below it. And it'll wait a second, and then replicate. Oops. So that one didn't work either. There you go. There you go. Check that out. So now we have our 6 copies over here. So now we have that, and we can go along like that. Sound pretty good? Now let's go over here, and we have modify panel. So this is different too. This is something that we use pretty often in the modify panel. So check it out. Not everything is named anymore. So you have to like really rely on the pictures, okay? Which is a little bit frustrating. So let's go over here and we'll do a square and a circle. I'm sorry. I was gonna mute my microphone, but I missed it. Thank you. Oh, sorry. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna fill in these shapes. And let's fill this one in red. Okay, so we have our 2 shapes here. Now these are, a modify panel is easier, but not at the same time. So what they've done is they've categorized the functions. So you'll know that in the old modify panel, it has, you know, weld, crop, subtract. I don't know them in order, but basically it says like these options are going to join or split your shapes. These options are going to crop them. So right here, this is your weld. So there's our weld. This right here is your subtract, and this is the subtract that keeps both of them. So in 3.0, this is your subtract all. So we'll do subtract. Wow, it looked like nothing happened, but it did. It got it out from over there. And then just double checking. And then this one is your divide. It basically will create a new shape where every cut line is. So we'll do divide, and now we have it like that. Okay? And now we have the crop options. So this right here is your subtract. So it took out from the top shape, from the bottom shape what the top one is, and totally got rid of the top one. Then we have our the intersect. So it keeps only what the intersect is. And this is the old crop. Yep, and all the shortcuts are the same. And then again, you have your make compound path, release compound path. I'm not going to go over that, but if you have a question on that, you can email us. I also have a video on our YouTube channel explaining compound path and so on. So let's get rid of that. Now we have our offset panel. So this is basically the same thing. Let's go ahead and make my circle. Let's select it, and then we're going to choose offset. Let's do our distance, apply, cool, the same thing. So that's the same. They just, you know, changed the logo a little bit. Now, stipple and emboss, you're not going to use this. This is for the curio, so we're going to skip past that. So now we have nesting. Now, nesting is, it depends on what version of Silhouette is what they're going to show you. Well, no, this is the basic one. So this is Designer Edition. Nesting, all the same options. They just went ahead and put it in this panel like this. So I'm going to skip past that. Sketch, same thing. Edge and advanced. You know, if you use sketch pens, it works. If not, you just move on. I just don't need it. Now check it out. Rhinestones. So this looks different. Now, it has the rhinestone effect, but this is kind of where you see the most that Silhouette is going for symbols and not text. Allergies, I guess, Leanne. I don't know. Sometimes my nose itches when I speak, like when I teach. I don't know why. I guess it's like a nervous tick or something, which I'm pretty used to speaking with people, which is funny. I'm not sick, I promise. I promise I'm not sick. I'm okay. My coworker just goes, mm-hmm. Anyway, we're moving on. We're moving on. We're not going to talk about my nose. So we have our Rhinestone Effects. So this is your none, which is like before. I'm not. No, Jerry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Edge. So we have our edge fill. It's going to default to SS10. SS16. Hey, Jerry, that's how rumors get started. And then we have this right here. So we have our edge fill, and then our spacing we can adjust. It's all the same. And then we have our linear fill and our radial fill. Now again, if you have questions on that, just go ahead and refer back to some of our old videos. We definitely will explain it to you. And so we have it here. And so right now it looks a little bit buggy. Right now it looks like it's defaulting to SS16 stones. So definitely do not use the rhinestone feature in version 4.0 quite yet, because it's not ready. See that? And it says symbol. It's not 100% ready. Okay, people are trying to say that no, Jerry Dyke and everyone else, I am not pregnant. Stop starting rumors, okay? And then if you have Designer Edition Plus and Business Edition, then you have your Advanced Rhinestone feature. I'm not going to go over that because that is a Business Edition thing. And if you were in my webinar yesterday, you know how I feel about Advanced Rhinestones. So we're moving on. We're moving on. Get out of here. All right, and so at the bottom of here, we have our layers panel. Now, I have taught a couple webinars on layers. I've done a couple videos. I'm not going to go over it with you, but yeah, the layers panel is right here. And then for those of you who have Business Edition, here is your basically the media layout view, like we talked about before, is over here now. So we go ahead and do all of this. Now it looks like they haven't like fully perfected the Business Edition, those features in 4.0 yet. So that'll be for another webinar later on with you guys. Okay, so those are all the features. So I have one more section to go over. I know I'm getting close to time, but I'm going to go over one more section real quick. But layers is designer and business. But I'm going to do a couple more giveaways if that's okay with you. What do you think? Is my voice better? Apparently, multiple people said my voice like slowed down in the software. I have a deep voice. I don't know how to fix it. It's fine now. Let me turn off my microphone and turn it back on. Hold on. How do I sound now? Okay, well, maybe you have a deep, maybe I have a deep voice, maybe I don't. Jerry, stop. Okay. We have the last of the J America shirts. So, this will go to, this shirt will go to, and this is a question I reuse pretty often. I was born in June, okay? What day in June is my birthday? Jerry, I'm gonna kill you. Stop. Oh, so I already got it. No, stop. Hold on. I saw someone answered it. Kim Jones. My birthday's the 26th. Kim Jones. You win this shirt. So yes, June 26th. And I am also 26. So this past year was my my golden birthday, which was really fun. Cool. Oh, Kim won because that's her daughter's birthday. So we're birthday twins. Yeah! Jerry, stop. I know, it was the first one. Okay. So that was a good break. And now I'm going to show you like 2 more things. And then I have 2 more giveaways, okay? And a coupon code. So let's get going. So you can see that these functions are up here. Now your store and your library were over here before. Now you can click here, go to the Silhouette store. Somehow my mouse got stuck. Go to the library. Here's your library, same as before. And then here's the big change. Send. Now check this out. It's totally different. So yeah, I can see Ashley. So what it is it broke down panels, your process for cutting. So I know a couple of you mentioned that you have Cricut Design Space. This is very similar to Cricut Design Space now. So you can go over here, you select your material type. Now if you want to program your own cut setting, you would go right here, add new material type. And then you would name your material, so I'll name it webinar. And then add action. So now we have all these different actions. So this would be cut, so you'll do cut most of the time, unless you're using the curio. Cut action, and then you have all of these settings which are the same. So we have all of that. Platform, you're going to ignore because it's a curio option. So if you do not have the curio, it's just gonna like factor that out. So you'll choose what material you're using. So we have all of our material here. Cool, all of that, and then go to action. And so now we have, this is like our advanced cut settings. This is designer edition and up. So we have line color, fill color, layer. It's not showing anything because I don't have it in there. Do you want me to end the webinar, Seth? All right, my coworker Seth hit the light when he tried to walk out of the room quietly. He was trying to be conspicuous. All right, so if you have the Cameo 3, you have your Tool 1 and Tool 2. The same as before, it's just laid out a little bit differently. Track enhancing, I saw that track enhancing. That is the feature in 3.0 that says like reduce roller movement, something like that. I don't know exactly what it does, but I check it because it sounds like it would help. And then what, will we still have what we already created when we update for this, for settings? Yes, tentatively. The way still it works is that even when you uninstall it, there's still parts of your settings that are saved on your computer. So in a perfect world, yes, they will carry over your pre-cut settings. Your library will come over. If you're on the cloud, it'll come over. That's no big deal. So when I moved over, my presets were still here. So I still did it. Now, when I was working on beta on my laptop, some of my settings got corrupted. Because of that, Nick had to do a full uninstall of Silhouette on my computer. So it's not just the basic, like go to your program settings and uninstall it and that's it. No, he had to go into like, I don't know, the 5th circle of hell and delete like these like secret files. I don't know what he did, but he did something and it had to like be taken off. So when that happened, I lost my presets. But you should be okay. Now, what I'm going to say is before you move to the new software, if you have presets in there, write them down so you know to keep what they are. If you have stuff in your library, make sure you put your library on Silhouette Cloud or do a backup or something just in case, because it's a new software. It could be corrupted and it won't keep your settings, and that's where the problem is. So we have our action and then send. So now it'll say, okay, it'll give you instructions on how to do all of this. We have our ratchet blade, do all of that, and then start. Now, where's the test cut? I didn't find it. It's under summary. So action, so we have all of this here, and then summary. It basically is like the shortened version of what your cut settings are going to be. And then down here, you have your test cut. Okay. Now, I don't have much on the cut panel in your written notes. So just keep that in mind. I can either upload the notes today so you can see them, or I can upload them tomorrow with more information on cutting. What do you guys think? What would you rather have?